This is day 383 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. If you like sponsor upcoming share more of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, please contact me directly. It would be very greatly appreciated. Today we're doing Siman Reish Samach Gimel, Sif Chav Gimel, to Reish Samach Dalid, Sif Beis. And Reish Samach Gimel, of course, we're still talking about Havlokas Haneros. Chav Gimel. Afilo Reich Shabbat Ir Erev Shabbos. Even a guest comes to see an Erev Shabbos, lays Erev, towards evening, Va'anshe Ha'ir, Kfar Kiblu Shabbos, Aleim Shemul Chadodi, they were in Kabul Shabbos, they said L'Chadodi, Nesem Yam B'Melacha, he's forbidden to Melacha immediately, Afabi Shadayna Yom Gadol, even though there's a lot of time left in daylight. In other words, this coming to a city where there's like one shul and one tzibur, and then we're Kabul Shabbos early. So, if he has a money or other muktzah objects upon him, and metaltlin, he's not allowed to carry them. El nichlas lecheder menichel mipo, he goes into a room and lets them fall. Idei tiltu min hatzad, by moving them indirectly. Be'alocha says that the things in the if a pocket has the status of a keli, you're allowed to move the tzarech mekayma. Therefore, if he was the pocket, I think that it's in a container. Therefore, if it was in his hand, he can move it to into a closet. But things which are muktzeh machmas gufan. I'm not sure. I don't know what the kids has to do with anything here. If it's like which has a Torah Keli, you can move it to a Kufan Komas, therefore you can move them, if as long as in your hand, you're allowed to take it to put it down in a closet or a bureau or whatever. But things which are Muktzah Machmas Gufan, such as money and stones, you're not allowed to take them anywhere, just you have to immediately throw them down. So, actually, in this case, we're not talking about Lokas Neros. We're talking about going to a place where they already Makabel Shabbos. When I was learning Eretz Yisrael, which you mentioned could be a city in and of itself, one night there was no guest on the Mizrach front. The next morning, Rabbi Elephant of Hashem, the Rosh Hashiva of Yeshivas Itri in Yerushalayim, was there sitting on the Mizrach front. And the question was where he had come from. He wasn't the night before. And it turned out that he was on a plane in BWI, and he saw he was not going to be able to get to where he had to go before Shabbos, and because it was delayed, and they refused him off the plane, and he said, I am the chief rabbi of Bethlehem. Itri is near Beis Lechem, and if you don't let me off the plane, you're going to hear from the Israeli government about this. And eventually they left him on the plane, off the plane on that basis, and he came to Eretz Yisrael for Shabbos. So Eretz Yisrael, of course, in Kabul Shabbos already at that point. I don't know exactly what he did, but that was a case in which you come to a town and then Makabel Shabbos, even though Od Yom Gadol, the moment you enter the campus, you're going to have a status in which you're forced to, by definition, accept that it's Shabbos and deal with this situation. Since Chadodi is not to Malacha, and he has to take them to wherever he to a room and let them fall by Tiltum Minatzad. Continues Arukh HaShulchan. This is after Plag HaMincha. Again, before we had yesterday we had the radical Arukh HaShulchan who says that even before Plag HaMincha in Makabel Shabbos, Mishnah Berurah said you can be Makabel Shabbos for Plag HaMincha, but Im Koser Rashayis Palel. But here Arukh HaShulchan is saying that this is after Plag HaMincha. And then before Plag HaMincha, even with there was Makabel Shabbos, it's not necessarily binding upon him, although I don't know what the difference is, according to Shitaso. But in any event, and nevertheless, it's allowed to daven mincha of a weekday. Rabbi Avraham and his brother Rabbi Yaakov. They came to town after the shul ready, after the community already left the shul. And they did not acknowledge the presence of Rabbi Avraham and Rabbi Yaakov, and they didn't allow them to come the next day to shul. And on Sunday they decreed upon them 50 days straight of fast. And they decreed upon them that they have to complete these 50 days with fasts and with floggings. And also decreed upon them to give from their money to redeem their souls, the chumash of tzedakah, to the tzedakah fund, which obviously is a very, very severe penalty that was imposed upon them for having come late to a town where it was still daylight, but where they had already been makabel Shabbos. Okay, again, this is a rarity in our day and age, to say the least. And there you saw, there's one of the few, in the old days, and it was isolated as one of the few cases in which I've been in a place like that. Perhaps if one is on in a small yeshuv in Eretz Yisrael, that might be the case. But even if you're in a big town, and there's one shul, but it's a big town, it's like a town, let's say, hypothetically, a place like Allentown, Pennsylvania, where it was for the outskirts, which it was for Pesach. So even though in Allentown there was one shul, as Makabel Shabbos early, but it's not binding on the entire town because it's a big town, which has areas which are not kofel to that shul. Certainly, if you're in the outskirts and the environs, certainly, of course, beyond Chum Shabbos goes without saying, you can make your own determination. So it's really talking about a small, isolated community with a solitary or unified community. Okay, B'yazimei, Chavtal. B'yimatos kibul atzibur leim Shabbos. What if it's a mistake? It was a cloudy day. They thought it's almost nightfall. V'liku neros, lit candles. V'spal tfilas Arukh Shabbos. And they daven Friday night Maariv. V'achar nispazu ovim. And then, like the case of Nagdima Ben Gurion, the clouds scattered. And the sun shone, and there was still broad daylight. If when they down was after plag, they don't have to go back down Marv again. Not much able to daven over again. Of course, the Yotze. The Bialach writes, even if they daven that day mincha after plag and mincha, even though it's tarti the sasrei, in those days evidently people were making tarti the sasrei. We don't make the tzibur go back and daven Marv as a result. The sasrei is when you daven mincha after plag and Marv before plag. As I believe we've seen the Arukh HaShulchan will make up on this on Erev Shabbos. But if an individual made a mistake, over again. And the Bialach says, even if that mincha before Plaga Mincha, so it's not that the Sasri, it's not contradictory. And even though any Erev Shabbos allowed to have a Marv before nightfall, nevertheless, since he normally does not do that, he normally has Marv only after Shkil, like Rabbanan. And by mistake, he did Mincha during the day, but he did Marv during the day, because he thought it was already dark, therefore he has to go back and daven again. Not like Yom Shabbos, where specifically if you daven Mincha after Plag, a Mincha, that you daven Mincha after Plag Mincha, that's tied to the Sasri that you have to daven Marv later on. No, even if it's not tied to the Sasri, you daven Mincha before Plag, and Marv after Plag. Nevertheless, it's a very big Chiddush, because I would say, if it's up to me, that if it's after Plag, it's after Plag. So at least Marv, at least by the every year, I'd say. But he'd say no, since he only would have in mind himself, we're up to him, and he had his brothers, he hadn't made a mistake, to have a Marv after absolute nightfall, so therefore, has to have Marv over again after Chashecha. Back to Arukh HaShulchan, Lina Siyas Malach, in terms of doing work. Ben B'tzibur, Ben B'yachid, Ben Yachid Mutorim. Since it's all a mistake, both the community and the individual are permitted. Came to Kabbalah Sabatos, since the acceptance was a mistake. Some say the Kabbalah Batos, but Tzibur Shema Kabbalah. Even though it was a mistake, since the Tzibur is Makabel, it is a Kabbalah. The Kemlo Machkin says we still have, we don't make the daven a second time. Mele should feel us and feel must see that tefillah is considered to be a valid tefillah. But in malacha, they're not allowed therefore to do any malacha. Therefore also those who lit candles asurim b'malacha, they're allowed to do malacha. But the minority of people who did not do that, they're not required to follow them. Those who did not light or daven, since all was based on mistake, mutarin, they're allowed to continue to keep a weekday. It says in brackets, Kena Farish Chachiesh Omim, Rishon Shebasiv Yudak, Rishkos Marag Avram. Okay, it says to be Atas move on, but in order to understand, you have to look inside, which we are not doing. The Mishnah Bura says that in the name of the Gdolia several Gdolia poskim that the Kabbalah of a tzibur by mistake, even if it's only by davening, it's considered to be a Kabbalah, and you should not be lenient against these poskim. Shasat Chakin rely on the first opinion that even a Kabbalah tzibur betos is not a Kabbalah. The Bir Halacha writes, and Begadim is machmir that it went to the candles, even was by mistake. No, that if they lit candles, even by mistake, yes, then other people are. I'm not sure what he's saying here. Those who made a mistake with Yechidim, or other Yechidim are joined after them. It sounds like he's saying that those that are supposed to do malacha, and even if it's not tzibur, even individuals who lit candles by mistake, they can't do malacha afterwards. Chafei, but Dina toes shenis bar. In terms of the mistake which we discussed, in Kasser Rabbeinu B'Yis Yosef, Sof Yudal, the Yeshua and some say, She'osa Neshulav Shem Shabbos, that candle should live for the purpose of Shabbos, Osuli Gabo, Loti Bo Shemen, now to touch it or add oil to it. Feeling cover also tatlon, even if it was extinguished, you're not allowed to carry it, Akal Shon. Ve'lo Muvah Klal, the Arukh HaShulchan says it's not understood at all. The Gezesh Lo Kibel Shabbos Adayin, Lama Osuli Gabo, a person was not Makabel Shabbos, why should you forbidden to touch it? Well, see, Shem will talk to and add oil and carry it. For who himself was astounded by this halacha. Yesh Vishomer, those who say this really day azu, this opinion holds. The Kabbalah b'tol shma Kabbalah, K'mosh Kosabnu, that accepting Shabbos by mistake is a valid acceptance. Therefore, Haner as a huktzah mitzvah, so this ner, this candle, is designated and is muktzah for the purpose of its mitzvah. And that which you're not allowed to touch it, because we're afraid you might use it for some other purpose. Let me know the exorcane. That was the Avram. The Arukh says, why should you make such a gzeira? Besides, why could you add oil? Lanias daiti near to me, it seems, to lab me some mukta nagavas night with mukta. El Klon needs to say, Avdavagav the Kaimon, hektish, tos, and hektish. Even though we're something which is designated for hektish by mistake is not hektish. The Kom nevertheless came into the Tzibur lo machchinalu, since by Tzibur you don't make them do over. From here we say, Shekibaltan Kabbalah, we accepted Shabbos. Mimele the ner zukta mitzvah, so automatically this candle is already mukta for its mitzvah. Okay, also shtamish, but there we can't use it. Ki tash mishocho. Any weekday usage on Motzei Shabbos. Kavanasa means to say the Asli Gabo, now to touch it, also both Shemen, the Tash Mishchol. Can't touch it or add oil for a weekday mitzvah purpose. The Mishnah Berurah says it's sort of mitzvah, you can be Mako. Back to Rav Shulman, but I feel cover, even if it got extinguished, also Tatlo Tash Mishchol, you can't let you carry for a weekday purpose on Motzei Shabbos. The Shabbos is over. Chemishilik narrows the Shabbos, so do some the lit candles of Shabbos. Vehisna, he stipulated. Shein Makabel, Shaddai and Makabel Shabbos is not accepting Shabbos yet. Mikam nevertheless, nails he's concerned with mitzvah, even though he didn't begin Shabbos lighting candles. The designation of the candles for the mitzvah of lighting candles, even if it's still Miboid Yoim, means you can't use them for any weekday purposes anymore. Vasun Lishtam Shel Tashachol, you can't use weekday purpose. Ben Hu Ben Achem, both he and anybody else. Chavav, Kasar Bosenu Balei Shulchan Aruch Sifyud Zayin. They write the Yeshua, some say the Mishum Kibul of Shabbos, Kodim Shechashecha, some accept the Shabbos for nightfall. Mutar lo lo misor chaver, so some malacha. You can tell another Jew to do malacha for him. Mutar lehenos malacha b'Shabbos, and he can derive benefit for that malacha on Shabbos. The Kosh came Motzei Shabbos, because that's saying derive benefit from Motzei Shabbos. Mishum me'achel ispal Motzei Shabbos. Sometimes somebody davens late Motzei Shabbos. Or sheman shechsudas b'layla, or he draws a shalshuras into night time. Mutal chaver mutal machavisosh shkvayis pak. It's say to his friend, a Jew is very daven v'hivta me Abdullah. Alastos lo malach to do his work for him. Lahadlik lo neiros to light and candles. Ulavashlo and for cook for him. Umutal lehenos lechol milach allowed to benefit and eat from his labor ad kan l'shoinai. End quote. The Mishnah Berurah says that this is specifically, you can tell your friend to do malacha for you if there's a thing on Erev Shabbos, only if there's a lot of time left until twilight. Because it's adjacent to the twilight. We stomach, most of the people in the city have already accepted Shabbos, and the minority is drawn after them, and therefore you can't tell this other Jew to do malacha for you. It's a bit of a chiddush. Okay, back to Arukh HaShulchan. So there are two reasons here. Achas, one of them is that since he himself could have been mutter at this point, you know, Erev Shabbos, such as Erev Shabbos, the boy lo kibel Shabbos, he didn't have to accept Shabbos. Motzei Shabbos, the boy Motzei Shabbos, he could have made Havdalah by Batzmo himself. Because but time he has, there's some way of there being a heter for himself. Yochel Lomar Chaver can tell his friend to do it. Veins and Mishum Amir Shvus, there's no rabbinic prohibition here. Moshe Amar Gemara, like Gemara said, Mutal Lomar Chavero. A person can say to his friend, Krach Pliny Ani Hoylech. Lamach, I'm going to so and so place tomorrow. Shem Yesh Shlosham Burganin. You can say this even though it's on Shabbos, it's going weekday, because if there are huts, Holech is allowed to go. Come on, Simon Shin Zayin Aisham, where there's not, where there isn't sufficient space between the huts to Asurim going. Full time, furthermore, the Lomatzin Amir Shvus, you only find that Amir is forbidden. Al Badavar Asu Chol Yisrael, which is also for all the Jews. Al Mashal Shem Mutter, but it's Mutter for him. Come B'chai Gavna, like in this case. Lama Lo Yomar Chaver, don't Mutter. Why tell your friend do something which is permitted to him? We tzad time Rishon Kilo Motzei Shabbos Erev Shabbos. According to the first line of reasoning, which is that anything which you could do yourself and tell somebody else to do, Motzei Shabbos is less severe or more lenient than Erev Shabbos. Erev Shabbos Nehi Sheyachol L'Bli L'Kabel Shabbos. True, he didn't have to accept Shabbos at Daim Mikom, nevertheless, Atoy Lo Heter himself, since he wasn't Makabel Shabbos, he himself has no leniency. On Motzei Shabbos, after Shabbos, he'll be Chol to Chol Regel Amar Mavdil. He can get out of it at any moment. Mutter Malach will be Mutter by the work by saying a Mavdil. Which happens here in Reit Tzadik Test. Yesh Yisrael Chlok Al Din said that those who want to argue this lacha, V'nid Chudavarov, his words were rejected. B'shatu Pashu Dim Amar Mavdil B'emtza Suda Shmutter Malacha. And it's clear if somebody said a Mavdil in the middle of a meal, and Motzei Shabbos, he can do Malacha. Ach Tzorich Iyun, it's not clear. B'yem Yechol Lomar Ritzei Brichas HaMazon. He says it's Tzorich. I would say tight to the sausage, shouldn't say would say. Because you don't have to say would say by Shal Shur, so don't say it. He says Tzorich. Which I guess amounts to the same thing. Chav Zayin, B'dai showed the Avodah Erev Shabbos. Even though Friday afternoon his bar became clear, that the minority is joined after the majority. Ksharev Kibul Aleim Shabbos, and the majority accepted Shabbos. Become Motzei Shabbos, and it came Motzei Shabbos, not like that. The after Chol Hayir Mamshichem Harbeba Laila, even though there are many people, even the majority who keep Shabbos well into the night. Come never to be chelis hayachid. The individual has capacity to spalo, to daven, will have deal, make avdallah, the lassos malacha. But time nearly why says the Roshon. The zeu kamo be'erev Shabbos koyem plag aminchas. The erev Shabbos before plag, and I mean nigra where the minority is not drawn after the majority, much lavdu. But the Motzei Shabbos, so the Motzei Shabbos kshekvar gvi azman chel. It's already chalei shem chel. That's right in terms at least astronomically. She'ain shum tam on. There's no point in adding on additional time. Yesh mish chav ches. Chav ches. Yes. Yesh mishlot somewhere. Those who I say the tam origin should receive chavav. According to the first reason in receive chavav that he could have done malach himself. The boy lo kibul Shabbos didn't have to accept on Shabbos. The beis hakneses. Obviously, it's word basically. It should say if he came from Beis HaKnesses, he came from Shul. Shekvar Kibul Shabbos, they Kabul Shabbos. V'gam hu kibel imon, they also could accept the Shabbos them. She'asur lomar lishi Beis HaKnesses acher la'asos malacha. You can't tell a person or another Shul to malacha for him. Shechai gam leika tamidi by lo kabil. As in this case, he can't say, well, I didn't have to be makabel, because in his Shul, that Yogan Yigrach Rabbi, individuals join after the majority. As says Arukh HaShulchan below near cloud, it's not clear at all to why you should say such a thing. Even if there's only some hypothetical reality under which you wouldn't have to be Makabel Shabbos, mutter la tell somebody else to do malacha. Here too. Could have always gone to the other shul. Gam yesh misha. Those who want to say that Makabel Shabbos Mikoidem, some of you accept Shabbos early, Havi Yichlal Neder. It's like a oath. Yichlal Hati Ero. Kivimater Neder. But this is astonishing. The game, since we hold the Rova place game, according to most poskim, can tell you 7 Shabbos to rice, so to add on something, Shabbos is to rice, so of age, shul at the Seves. And those no limit to that addition. Kain Zesh or Soto Seves move, the guy made extra. Tosefes Shabbos, Halodina Teiro. It's a Torah halacha. V'lo yisi dovas ebishum place. Didn't say this in any place. L'chei ein lismoch al zeh l'maisa. You can't rely on this l'maisa to be matir, the quote unquote neder of Kabbalah Shabbos early. Pashu she'ein lamtin al adam go beis hakneses ta'adayin ba lo ba v'lo shum davar ba'olam. It's kind of out of left field. It's clear that you shouldn't wait for a person to come to shul. Even as a great man, didn't come to shul, and not for anything else. Rather, it's time to Kabbalah Shabbos, Kabbalah Shabbos. He says, in brackets here, I'm going to have rum as a mistake. Well, which you match, because of Shem, some basic lessons, some of the Benish Mashos, not a person's, not it's near shul, but rather it's near twilight. Some place they waited and said, Mutav, she's showing about you Mazidin. It's best for them to be inadvertent, not advertent. I guess they waited because there's a place which that was optional. They were diving. They were just like a mini, but not a shul. Basically, it's Lomri Mutsu. She was showing it. She was them. Don't wait for people, even they're home preparing their food. The tzibur should not be matriach to wait for them. Back to the candles themselves. What you can use the light, what you can't use the light. Aleph, Bisman Chachmei Hashas Lo Yiyu Madlikin K'mo B'neiro Shalonu Shel Chel Shava. In the time of the Shas, they did not use candles made of tallow or wax. Shmona used to use oils, but they used to make wicks. For no steam l'tochat shmonim, and they used to put the wicks in the oils. Like we do with our kerosene. Chazal says there are wicks you cannot use on Shabbos. Because the flame dances around upon them. If it's not direct, straight light, which stands high, v'noach, which is easy to use echad in one place, it gets sputters and jumps. It doesn't get into the wick. It's around the wick on the outside. And the flame jumps. The oil which you don't use the light. They're not drawn properly off to the wick. You'll come to incline them to get it to draw better. And if you use a wick in which the fire flickers, it's very bad because we're afraid that you might come to be masak. You might come to fix the wicks on Shabbos. Bialacha writes that on Yontif all wicks and all oils are mutter except for truma oil that became tummy. However, it would seem that each one, which is something which has this bad smell, well, you shouldn't use it on Yontif either because you might leave it and leave. In terms of tzri, which is like a fire which does jump around, Prima Gav is not sure. The Bialacha writes if he doesn't have other oils and wicks except for these which are puzzle, then you can't use them, except for each one because that's only where only issues that you might leave it and leave. You in that case you should not forsake the Vadai mitzvah like candles before the suffix that you might decide to leave. You should go ahead and light. Beis, kach shenu chachay mishnah. I'm learn the mishnah by Mem Alika Malikin. What do you use light? What don't use light? Ein Malikim lo belechesh. We don't use lechesh. Will mean erez, type of cedar. Sheishmo kutzon tzargev, which has a type of cotton. Beina, it's a beina between the wood and the bark. The lo b'chosen. What's chosen with pishin shlona foods? It's a flax which hasn't yet been carded. V'yesh b'solos has refuse. V'lo b'chalach b'solos shemeshi, that's a refuse of silk. V'lo b'silas idon. U'mina rava sheish bo k'mot semer gev make people hate. It's like it's a willow tree which has a type of cotton between the peel, the bark, I guess, lights in the wood. Midbar, not with the wick of the desert. Umin Esa Baruch, which is a long grass. Umoch Shabasocho, and there's a soft fiber within, I guess. Royla Likbo, theoretically use it to light. Not with the greenish stuff on the water, but York should go to sleep with the green stuff which grows around the boat. When it tarries in one place on the water. Without cold psilos, these are all psulim in the wicks. You show us not made wicks, not from wool and not from hair. But near it seems to be common name Semer Bain, Mikvasim, it doesn't make a difference type of wool, whether it's from sheep, Migmalim, or from camels, Meizim, or goats, Malikim, you can't use it to light. That's Rashi Gam Bekan Bushikoin Kanoplia, it's a type of hemp. Uva Tzemer Gevin Shikoin Bavel, cotton, and Malikim can't use the light. Rabbeinu Tam Chalak Olav, Time disagrees with him. The Me'ela Psilos Tovos, oh, these are very good wicks. The Guk Rabbeinu Tam, meaning like Rabbeinu Tam. Ad comes psilos now. Until now, speaking about the prohibition, the issue of wicks. Next, we're going to talk about the issue of oils. The Mishabura says that the Rabbi wrote this part of the Machal Chatchila, not to use the hemp if there's something else around which can be used.